Hello Airsoft friends, and welcome to this video today where we may be potentially debunking the myth that the Novritsch SSG96 is just a super cheap Airsoft sniper rifle that has a couple of, like, you know, new bits in there, such as the hot rubber, but it's generally not any better than a cheap version of the same airsoft rifle. Because people on forums seem to saying the same thing, that this is just a cheap L96 with the Novritsch logo on it, and that got me thinking, is that the case? Are we overspending on this Novritsch stuff just because his name is on it, you know? And I want to always find the facts before I make my decisions. So, for you, for everybody out there, I have gone and I have done what the internet has asked for. I have not only bought the SSG96 to make sure of the quality, but I have also gone online and I have found the cheapest L96 sniper rifle that I could find. It is so cheap, it is not even made by a company that has a name. They are purely known as Airsoft Gun Manufacturer, and it is inside this box. So let's take a little look, shall we? In all of my cheapy unboxing videos, I always say the same thing. If your riff comes with a polystyrene bottom to the package, you're in for a treat. And so far, this L96 looks like it's going to be following on that path, following on these footsteps very closely. So let's just see what we've got inside this, shall we? Taking off the fantastically cardboard topper, we are presented with a package that is incredibly squeaky, sorry about that. That doesn't look too dissimilar from the SSG96, although that is nice foam, but in terms of layout, it is laid out very similarly. Look at that, so we've got our stock there, we've got our upper receiver at the top, we've got instructions explaining how to use stuff, tools, a strappy thing, 1, 2, 3 magazines, and a mag loader. So in this package, which cost me £63, you get 2 additional magazines over the SSG96, a speed loader over the SSG96, a sling, and it also includes BBs. So you're getting 5 additional things that the SSG96 doesn't include. And it only costs £64, which is, what, about 20% of the cost of the SSG96. But will it continue to be that good as we delve into it? Let's continue. Let's start with the stock, because the stock is one of the important bits on there, because it's the bit that you hold, and it's probably the bit where you're going to feel like, you know, is it got the most money in it or not? It's pretty weighty, I'll give you that, although it does look very hollow inside. It's got the kind of weight to it that feels like they've just put a big old block of metal in the stock, whereas the SSG96, it feels solidly nice and weighty, like it's throughout because of the material they've used. This just feels more like a cheapy kind of plastic that that they just put some metal into. Although, to be fair, it feels quite nice. This little stock pad here is hard plastic, whereas the SSG96 is a nice soft rubber, so it actually feels a bit slidey when shouldered. But, you know, £64, you can't really complain with that. All in all, yeah, it's okay, but yeah, super slidey. I'd have to stick something onto that or rough that up to make it better for me. It does have the adjustable cheek pad there as well, so that's the same as the SSG96 too. And to be fair, all the sizings seem to be very similar to the SSG96. Cool, okay, so that is stock out of the way. So let's get the upper receiver out. It looks like the upper receiver from a VSR. That's so odd, like the transfer block is non-existent. It's just like a VSR end bit there. Oh, there's a lot of movement in the outer barrel compared to the receiver. That's interesting. Quality wise of this is nice solid metal. The Picatinny rail is a separate part, so that has been screwed on there separately. I imagine this has probably got some wiggle in it because these screws here haven't been tightened up as much as they could be. Or it could be the screw in the outer barrel is too big. Oh my days, it's even wobbling when I do this. It's got the same type of hop unit that the VSR has, so it's just a nice little side slider. Same safety as the VSR as well, as you can see there. It's very interesting. Let's just do a quick little test fire with it in this position. Pull is nice and smooth. Let's see if it falls into place. No, it doesn't. And let's hear what the shot's like. A little bit of spring wobble, although that could mean there's a metal spring guide in there. There is definitely not a metal spring guide in there. I'm going to quickly build this all together so we can see what the rifle looks like in all of its finished glory. And there we have it. It's pretty weighty with it all together, actually, to be fair. But you know what? That feels pretty comfortable. That spring noise is horrible. And to be fair, it is kind of like on par with the SSG96 as well. See, look, here's this one. And here's the SSG96. Different pitches, but very similar. God, the rubber pad on this one is so much better. Like, it really does stick into your shoulder. The overall build of this is kind of what I would expect for a 60-pound gun. Like, on the outside, it feels okay, but it does feel very hollow. Whereas the stock on the SSG96, it feels solid. You know, it feels sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's a hollow material has been used. Like, it actually feels like there's some material there, whereas this is very, very hollow sounding. The mag well is mounted further forward on the cheapy L96, which is interesting to see, even though the mags are smaller, so that could have an impact on the inner barrel length and also performance of the riff. Also, the hardware used to hold both sides of the stock together, these screws here, they actually look pretty trash. I know you can't really see them, but compared to the same hardware that's used on the SSG96, this doesn't really feel that great. The cylinder is a bit scratched up though. There is a nice amount of lubrication in there, which is very, very good. Hopefully it should keep it running smoothly for a while. The trigger between the two is very different as well. On the cheap L96, it's a very smooth pull throughout the shot, whereas on the SSG96, it's much more of a, you're on the line, and as soon as you get movement on the trigger, it fires. Unlike both of those types of pulls, so it may be, you know, for your own preferences, which one you prefer. Quality-wise, the SSG96 100% stands out head over foot, if that is even a phrase. The hardware used to hold the sides together of the stock, the machining of the outer barrel, the machining of the whole upper receiver on the whole, to be honest, and also the fact that it's got the block at the back, which is very much, you know, an iconic part of the L96, is all in there. The cheapo L96, however, doesn't have a nice, you know, machined outer barrel. It's just like a hollow tube. The upper receiver is in multiple different pieces, whereas the SSG96 is one solid piece, and the Picatinny rail has been screwed on as opposed to it being just like, you know, one solid part of it attached. The outer barrel wobble has gone though since we've attached it, so that's a point or a slight improvement, but still it's not nicely machined, which is something I really do like on the SSG96. After shouldering both of them, this is absolutely dreadful. This is horrible, so you definitely have to swap that out for something else, or rough that up, or do something to make this actually stick in your shoulder rather than just slide away. And the transfer block here on the bolt, it's just a VSR one. Like, I feel like all they've done is change the mounting hardware of a VSR upper receiver, and then they've put it into an L96 stock, which is cheating. You can't do that, we'll know. It's got a VSR safety, it's got the whole shape of the back of the VSR here, and yeah, so all they've done is they've repurposed a VSR upper receiver for this. But I do like that because I love the VSR system. So it's almost as if it's got the best of both worlds. It's got the VSR user experience as opposed to the L96 one, but it comes in an L96 body, which is, you know, okay. That all being said, let's chrono it quickly, because this easy bolt pull may be because the FPS is low. The SSG96 that I got was for 500 FPS on 0.2s out of the box, so let's see how this performs. Unfortunately, that chrono was very disappointing. Out of the box, the FPS for this rifle is 371, 371, 371, 368. So it's good that it is consistent. However, the FPS for a sniper rifle, you want to be much higher. You want to be much closer to the 500 FPS mark, which the Novritsch SSG96 is. So before this would be, you know, potentially super usable, you're going to need to be upgrading it. New spring, potentially new piston and trigger unit too. I'm going to go put some 0.4 gram BBs through it though, outside, just to see how it actually works, because FPS isn't everything. Maybe it's got a hot rubber in there, which is just absolutely fantastic and doesn't need that. So I'll be back in a mo. I have returned, and unfortunately it was just what we thought. The power in this and the hot rubber as well wasn't quite enough to give us the lift that we needed with 0.4 gram BBs. So it's definitely going to be a mixture between the FPS coming out of the gun only being 370, potentially the hot rubber too. I'd like to think that the BBs will be getting more lift with a more weight-centric hot rubber. However, it could just be the FPS. Sadly, I don't have another spring to put into here, and if I were to put the spring in from my SSG96, if it did fit, then it would be too powerful for the sear, and I'd need to get a new piston and trigger combo for it. So yeah, on that bombshell, sadly for the airsoft gun manufacturer L96, which cost me £64. It's not changing anything. It's not, you know, breaking new water like my cheapo VSR did. Unfortunately, this is a cheapy sniper I would definitely stay away from. There are other cheaper options out there as well, like you can get the Well version of the L96, which is the same brand as my cheapo VSR, which I was actually very happy with, and that comes in around the £90 mark, if I remember correctly, so I may potentially decide to pick that up in future and do another comparison, because Well seem to be, you know, on top of their game from what I've seen so far. Airsoft gun manufacturer, however, is not somebody who I would like to frequent and purchase from again. So yeah, there you go. Moral of the story, the Novritsch SSG96 is not just a cheapy sniper rifle with a few upgrade parts in. It has been machined within an inch of its life to be better, and you can definitely feel the quality there. Performance-wise, it absolutely trounces this thing out of the box, and I feel like you would need to certainly upgrade the majority of the parts in this in order to get to get this performing to a point where you'd be happy to use it in a match. Will the Well L96 perform the same way? We may see that in a future video, although we'll see, because I've been buying lots of guns recently, so that may be more of a future video. Thank you very much for watching. It's always great to have you here. As always, remember to call your hits, and I'll see you in the next one.